said, Merry Christmas, baby. You sure did treat me nice. Bought me a diamond ring for Christmas, and I feel like I'm in paradise. All right. Well, I'm feeling mighty fine, y'all. Got my music on the radio.
Without further ado, let's get right into it. In third place is Matt Graves. So, first of all, how have you been?
Yeah, I've been good, thanks. It's been pretty indifferent few months since we last spoke. Seems like a lot has happened, and kind of landing back in Southampton as well. But yeah, all's been good, thanks.
So, you need no introduction, presumably. At time of recording, you had 100 views on your episode on YouTube. You're the third most watched, so that must be a good feeling.
Yeah, I think it's nice to be able to feel like I'm getting myself out there a little bit more. I think it's still kind of surreal, kind of going from a 16-year-old that had kind of fallen out of love with football to kind of what the last few years has brought to me. It's still kind of surreal feeling, really.
And we're not going to do a whole recap of last time. So your released episode was released on the 4th of February this year.
Yeah.
So quite a long back.
Yeah.
Quite a long back. And then you told me that you were into cricket up until a certain age, then you did football.
Yeah.
Then you did actually play and then sort of stopped, and then you went on to college and university. Funny enough, you told me this after the recording, that you didn't actually know that I could see that you were a Labour, and he seemed quite surprised that I brought it up.
Yeah, I think I forget what's kind of out there at times, really.
Yeah, that's it. Then let me try going through the research.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're Crawley Wasps, and then you went to Southampton, and then you went back to Crawley Wasps, and then you went back, and then you went on to Acorns, then you went to Haywards Heath, which is the new name for Crawley Wasps, and then you did quite a lot of shifting backwards and forwards, didn't you?
Yeah, I think obviously leaving Southampton at a time where I moved out of the city, and then I was going to go back to Wasps at that time, but I wanted a kind of different challenge, really. So that's when I kind of went to Acorns, and then Wasps offered me a role there, and it was an opportunity that I really couldn't turn down. Then obviously we got the sad news that the club was folding as we knew it, going into administration, and then got bought out by Haywards Heath Town. So hence that kind of change, which was obviously a really sad time for people that have been involved in the club for so long.
And one of the things that I wanted to add to this was I didn't notice this until after the episode, and then by that time it was fairly new to you. I didn't know whether to mention or not, but the month before your podcast, you got diagnosed with autism.
Yeah. So it was a little bit before. It was the summer before getting the autism diagnosis. It was really, a really strange and really peculiar time. Lots of, now I've had the diagnosis, lots of traits that I do, it makes sense now. But at the time, it was just kind of growing up. It was just kind of me.
Yeah.
So, and I think to finally get that diagnosis, aged 21, it was hard at first to kind of accept. I'd gone through the majority of my life, the majority of my education, without actually knowing about the diagnosis. And then I was kind of shut off about it at first. And then I spoke to two fantastic people at a football club, Elle and Emma Reed, and it just really opened up to what I am. And it really just made me help settle. And then there was a piece about me and Elle in at Autism Hampshire, which is obviously a charity that works in and around here. They put a piece online about the two of us when I was at the football club in my first spell. And yeah, I think that really made me kind of get my feet on the ground a bit and become a lot more open about it than I previously was.
Yeah, and looking back on your childhood, you probably thought it makes sense why I was like this and then everything.
Yeah, hugely. Like lots of things I do. I mean, I think we spoke last time about my kind of morning routine where I would get up at the same time. I would go to the gym. I'd go to the library, things like that. And those kind of routines and kind of like little, like what I thought were like quirky things, have that kind of like label on it now without having a sense of it's all I am. I'm more to me than just my autism diagnosis, and most importantly, I'm Matt first before I'm anything else.
I was literally about to say that you're Matt, and then everything else is secondary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you went back to Corey Bobs, and then you were involved with the youth and the first team setup. So not necessarily quite nice, maybe to transition people from youth into the first team. It sort of merged it together.
Yeah, especially with coming to the latter end of the season. When we found out the club was going into liquidation, people stopped being paid. A lot of players decided to move on. Even during that period, I can't blame them for that at all. A lot of it is their second income, it's their rent, it's their bills, it's whatever they were using it for. So to be able to then see some of the under 18s come up into the first team for the last few games of the season, one of which being at Fratton Park. By that time, I'd been promoted from first team coach to assistant manager. So to then have that kind of huge overall side of it and have a bigger role in the club was really good for me, and it was really good to see the younger girls come up into the first team environment.
And then you now I did a bit of research for this. I went through I'm not stalking you again, but so 4 months ago you posted this into your, so it was just read a little bit of it. So that after a lot of thinking, it's all good to people close to me in the game. I've made the difficult decision to leave the club after nearly 10 years of service. Started as a 13-year-old making tea and coffee to coming onto the coaching team at 18 to try and find my love for the game again. Leaving in 2020 during the pandemic felt bittersweet, but knowing that a return was on the cards. Of course, that happened. You said in October last year you joined the club up in both senior and youth, which you just mentioned. And later on in the season becoming appointed first team assistant manager. As the club name, which I previously mentioned, Hayworth Heath, and bad changes, I felt that this is the right time for me to say that final goodbye. Thank you to Paul Walker, Dave Carl, which you mentioned the last time on the podcast, and all the former first team coaches and players we had. Sometimes I never forget. We had some times I never forget. The last year has shown me that truly anything is possible.
Yes.
So, knowing that a return was on the cards, of course, we all kind of knew that.
Yeah.
You must have felt a bit disappointed to leave.
Yeah, I was, and I think, unfortunately, the way that things were handled between the manager, it kind of left me with no other option, unfortunately, other than to leave. I got appointed goalkeeper coach. I've never done goalkeeper coaching ever before. I'd fallen out of enjoyment with it. And it was to the point where at one game, I came up with this idea and he completely shut me down quite aggressively. And I really thought, I was like, what comes next? And he was like, you're 23, I'm the manager. And after leaving that kind of situation, those words really stuck with me. because a lot of coaches I know who are my age still play.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is it too early? Like, is it too early for me to be a coach? I am 23. I should still be playing. Everyone I know who's a coach at my age is still playing. And that was a really difficult and challenging time. I was obviously dealing with life after cricket and then life after Wasps, and then that happened with the manager at Haywards Heath. And then thankfully, Lauren Cheshire, who is such a good friend of mine at Southampton, I was talking to her, and she invited me to come down to one of their pre-season games. They were playing a team in Brighton, which is just down the road from my hometown. So I went down there and I met the new first team manager, Jamie Lloyd-Davis, properly, because that game where the manager at Haywards Heath had a go at me was against Southampton.
Oh,
So, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So bad people to do it in front of. But I met him properly. We had really good, positive conversations. I had ideas I was putting across to him, and we were bouncing off each other. I was bouncing off Chesh, and it really made me realise where I had to be. My thoughts were to come back to Southampton anyway to live, but to now have that kind of footballing environment back, and kind of scrolling back on old messages from Chesh at the time, I told her, I was thinking of moving back before any of this happened, kind of like the April, May time. And the first thing she said was, "You're welcome back to the club." That's the first thing she said. And that kind of made me realise my value and where I should be. And yeah, it was only kind of scrolling back that I was like, actually, like, I am good at what I do. Like, I am able to help people within the game. My age does not matter. And to now kind of be back in that environment and back with the club is just fantastic.
Yeah. And it felt like as I was never left, really. It's like you found your place and you found the right environment. And of course, you just graduated from uni at this point as well, a year later.
Yeah, exactly. I really feel like I found my feet at the club. It took a bit of time. There's been a lot of change in the last year at the club since I was last there. But yeah, I feel like I've found my feet and I've really hit the ground running. And what I really like about Jamie is obviously he's so caring, he's so loving, his heart's such in the right place. And we played against Bitton in Bristol in the third qualifying round of the FA Cup. And I said something to some of the girls at half time, and he actually mentioned that in his interview after and gave me credit for it. And I've never ever had anyone do that before as a manager. And that just made me feel like, yeah, it's like I'm home. Like this is me now.
And you graduated from uni as well.
Yeah, that was really cool thing in the summer. Yeah, kind of 5 years at Solent. It was some very difficult times, some very amazing times, but the graduation and then the kind of actually we were in the bar afterwards, in the evening, and then I was actually joined by the girls from Southampton. Like they were on a night out and we bumped into each other, and yeah, we had the best night kind of there with my mates and then the Southampton girls. It was it was good, and it was nice to be able to kind of celebrate what's been 5 years of real hard work.
Yeah, during the pandemic, and then your diagnosis, and then all the clubs you've been to, and everything else, you've done really, really well.
Thank you.
And we should just mention that it's actually Southampton Sirens, not the actual Southampton ones. This is a different.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
And you're the first team coach there.
Yeah.
So what sort of happened between July and September? There's a bit of a blank there in between graduation and then September when the season started. Was that you coming back to Southampton then?
Yeah, that was me not doing anything really. It was me working, and yeah, just not doing a lot because I knew the return to Southampton was on the cards. September was always the time where I was looking to come back, be it early September, late September. A lot of that time was obviously the first few weeks was struggling. Having left Haywards Heath in the manner that it happened, unfortunately, was, the big kind of, back burner for me. Like I said, with that, and then with the whole kind of, it was mid-cricket season, and I wasn't playing for the first time in 14 years. So that was a real hard test of character as well. So it was just kind of taking a step back and having a different kind of perspective of everything.
And so obviously Southampton's your home. I mean, the background behind you makes me feel like you're back at accommodation, but you're not.
Yeah.
So yeah, Southampton's your home. Southampton's where you are. You're at the club. First team coach. So you're not manager now. You're just part of the coaching setup.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's a lot of weight off my shoulders as well.
Yeah, a lot of weight off shoulders. So what's next? Coaching is more your thing? Is it want to be like manager again, or?
Yeah, I'm happy sticking with coaching.
Yeah.
Like I'm still. I know we've had that age conversation. I'm still young to be in the game. So, and coaching gives me more freedom for stuff outside of life. I'm training for an Ironman. I'm training for an ultra marathon as well. So, and obviously I work full time, so I've got a lot of stuff going on outside of football. So to then kind of come to football, have that kind of release where I'm with my mates, and I'm able to help people. That's the kind of the joy that I look for now.
And you've done. I mean, considering looking back at your first one, I was looking at it last night, sort of refreshing my mind after I don't know, 10 months ago.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, my goodness, isn't really that long? But we filmed it like January, didn't we?
Yeah.
Came out in February. So, but I do remember you saying that you quite enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, I did. I think I've done interviews after games and those kind of things, but it's the first time that I've kind of sat down and spoke about my life as a whole, and to talk about my career path. For me, it made me realise what I've achieved and how far I've come in what seems like a relatively small period of time. So to go from like a 16-year-old picking up cones to then assistant manager in tier 3, it was a very kind of surreal element to the last podcast, and is to go, I was in tier 5, I've been in tier 3, I was head of academy, first team coach, and I was like, wow, it kind of shocked me because that's the first time where I've gone and actually looked back at everything. Yeah. So and it was a huge help to me as well.
Yeah, and as you said, you've got a face for radio as well. So
exactly.
And I mean, time goes so quickly. You just jump places to places and you don't necessarily think. But I've had a few people when they've had a lot of jobs. They say to me after the filming, they always say to me, I can't believe I've done that much in 3 or 4 years or 5 years. And I'm going, yeah, it's surprising when someone else reads it out for you. And then they're like, goodness me.
I think with the kind of the football roles I've had, I've always gone somewhere for a reason. Like I started at Wasps because it was my local club. My parents were there, my sister was there. So to be able to start there, it was the natural thing to do. Then obviously living in Southampton Women's was the place to be. It was the ideal opportunity to learn off their manager Aaron Smith and the assistant manager Lee Horrell. And they gave me my first opportunity the next season within coaching and management. So to then come back to Crawley, having moved out of Southampton, to come back to Crawley and then be at the 2 clubs I was there, I didn't feel I was progressing unfortunately at the other club. So that's when I went back to Wasps, and yeah, coming back now to Southampton. Everywhere I've gone has been with a purpose, be that to learn, be that because I've moved house. It's always had some purpose, some reasons, some rationale behind it. And now I'm back here, I'm able to reclaim my life a little bit more. I've got kind of like a social life back. I've got a training life back for the Ironmans. Yeah, it's just it was just the ideal place for me to be.
And when it's the Ironmans and all that?
The ultra marathon is going to be at the end of May. I will be doing it for a fundraiser. I can't really open up about the details too much at the moment because we're trying to get that over the line with a few things.
Of course.
And then in end of July will be the Ironman, and it's been, to know that it's like so close. Having been, I know July seems like a long time away, but in the world of endurance and ultra endurance sports, it's not long at all.
Yeah.
And I started the triathlon journey in 2020. Then to go through and have kind of like 2 years without too much racing due to cricket. And then kind of when I fell out of love with cricket due to, a few, a coach and a captain and some circumstances out of my control, that was a real challenging and difficult time. That winter was really, really hard. So I felt bad for my younger self that loved the sport, 14, 15 years ago. And I thought, I've got to now do something. And the ideas of Ironmans has intrigued me for years, even before the triathlons, and the world of endurance sport had intrigued me for years as well. So I sat down with some people and we put together some plans, and I was like, yeah, I want to do an Ironman. I want to become an Ironman. And yeah, we decided to target the race, which obviously is coming up in July, and we've gone through the stages and the processes over the last kind of year to get there. And to know that it's just over half a year away, yeah, it's really cool, and it really shows the distance that my fitness has come. Both physical fitness, my mental health. It really shows how far that's come from life after cricket and really, really struggling to now, where it's like I'm 7 months away from becoming an Ironman, and it's some stupid statistic like less than 0.1% of people. I think it's smaller than that. I think it's 0.01% of people in their lifetime will do an Ironman. So to join that elite club, and then I think once I've got that, I can be Matt Graves the Ironman. And instead of Matt Graves, I used to play cricket. Matt, that kind of aspect to it. I'm always going to be an Ironman after that, and I can kind of reclaim my life a little bit more, because I've always seen myself as an athlete first and then a person. And through cricket and the levels that I used to play, that's just the kind of way it had to be. And then I lost that athlete and I was just Matt. And I know that sounds really bad potentially,
Yeah.
but to just be Matt when I've always been, Matt the cricketer, I did judo, I was Matt the judo fighter, but then I was just Matt. So to then start this crazy, crazy journey to get to the finish line of an Ironman, and then I can start to restructure my way of thinking again. I can then be a person first and an athlete second, and I can actually, reclaim a life again, really.
Yeah. Are you sure you've not been watching too many Marvel films?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. I was going to say rather you than me.
I've had lots of people say that I'm crazy. Lots of people say it's a mental idea, but that's the joys of ultra endurance and endurance sport.
And then you can just prove them wrong when they get it.
Yeah, exactly. A good friend of mine, Lauren Arbour, she's crazy. She's absolutely mental. I love her to pieces, and she's like the queen of crazy ideas. So when I came up with this idea of doing an ultra marathon, it's 100 kilometers. It's London to Brighton, And I said, "Will you join me at the start line?" And like, she's keen for it. And that's the kind of friendships and relationships I've built within the sport now. But yeah, we're both absolutely crazy, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope she is as well.
Did she mention it in the first place, or was it you?
It was my idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was my idea. So I texted her, and I was like, I've got a crazy idea. Do you want in? And yeah, 100 kilometre ultra marathon from London to Brighton.
Oh man. Just try doing send to wherever it is. Yeah. So you've got all that coming up, and then obviously you've got your football career as well as a first team coach. And yeah, you've done incredibly well since the last time we spoke, proper and one. And of course the radio, obviously that's why you belong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's it. Just thank you again for having me. Thank you to anyone that's been listening as well. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to open up again and kind of get away from this hard exterior that I kind of produce, to actually be able to sit and open up. I think it's been really good and beneficial for me, and it's been great to talk to you as well.
Yeah, if you want me to be a counsellor, just ask. Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Santa came down the chimney, 3:30, y'all. And he left all them good presents for my baby. I said, Merry Christmas, baby.